Indigenous Rights Radio, because knowledge is power.
Justice requires us to center human and environmental rights in the just energy transition. It is important to learn from the past. All just energy transition initiatives must respect communities' land rights and cultural, traditional, and small-scale practices in terms of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and the International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights. Developers and businesses must uphold community benefit agreements that are enforceable in accordance with the principles in the United Nations Guiding Principles on Business and Human Rights. Alex Lemayian is a specialist working with the Department of Energy and Urban Development in the county government of Marsabit. Lemayian, what are the principles of the United Nations Principle of Human Rights for the indigenous people?
Thank you very much. First of all, the guiding principles on business and human rights are global, and they're global standards meant for preventing and addressing the risks of adverse impacts on human rights involving business activities across the entire world. Remember, they provide an international accepted framework for enhancing standards and practices with regards to business and human rights. The most important thing is that these human rights principles must be adhered to globally because they are international standards. Remember, we are equally entitled to our human rights without any form of discrimination. These rights are basically universal, interdependent, like I said, and indivisible, equal and non-discriminatory. When you talk of human rights principles in this matter, we mean these human rights principles, we have to put in mind that they have to be fair. There should be fairness when you talk of human rights principle. Respect is one of the most important factors in this. Equality right across. Remember, we are talking about the indigenous people, their dignity, and most important, their autonomy. More importantly as well, these principles serve as a critical framework for addressing the risks of adverse impact on human rights related to business activities. They were developed by special representatives of the Secretary General on the issues of human rights and transnational cooperations. These principles provide internationally accepted guidelines to enhance standards and practices concerning business and human rights. Some of the key issues here are the three pillars. Basically, protect, that a state must protect against human rights abuses by third parties, including businesses. We talk of respect, like I said earlier. Businesses should respect human rights throughout their operations. When we talk of remedy, we mean effective remedies must be available for victims of business-related human rights abuses. These principles are core, are very important, and when put together, then basically we can talk of standard United Nations guiding principles on issues to do with business and human rights, basically regarding the indigenous people.
Kenya is emerging as a leader in the global clean energy landscape, having recently hosted the inaugural Africa Climate Summit in Nairobi in September 2023. The country has made great progress on renewable energy and access to electricity, with renewables accounting for nearly 90% of energy generated and consumed in 2021, up from around 75% in 2017.
Renewable energy is energy that is derived from natural resources. And I talk of natural resources, they are plenty. Natural resources in the form of sunlight and wind. These are best examples of natural resources that we have in the world. Like I said, renewable energy are plenty. When you talk of fossil fuel, for instance, coal, oil, and gas are non-renewable sources. Basically, fossils, which when burnt to produce energy, they are going to cause harmful greenhouse gas emission, such as carbon dioxide, which is very dangerous to the environment and the places that we live.
Access to electricity has more than doubled over the past decade, from 37% in 2013 to 75% in 2022. According to the International Energy Agency, Kenya is on track to provide electricity to its entire population by 2030, in line with national plans to achieve universal access. The Kenya Vision 2030 sets out a long-term development blueprint aiming to transform Kenya into a newly industrializing, middle-income country, providing a high quality of life to all its citizens in a clean and secure environment. Under this vision, development of new and renewable energy sources, energy efficiency, and increasing electricity access are key focus areas, indicating ambition to provide greater support in accelerating towards clean energy and access targets.
Generating or producing renewable energy basically creates far lower or lesser emission than burning fossil fuels. Transitioning from fossil fuels, which currently accounts for a bigger share of emission, to renewable energy is very important, is key to addressing matters concerning climate crisis. And when we talk of climate crisis, we talk of climate change and all that. So renewables are now cheaper, less costly in many countries, Kenya being one of those countries, and generate 3 times more jobs than fossil fuels. Hey, Baba, hey. What is that?
Energy efficiency is a relatively low-cost solution that can temper demand growth, reduce the strain on existing transmission and distribution infrastructure, support increased rates of access to electricity, and improve affordability.
Putting money or investing in measures that improve energy efficiency has very positive effects in all kinds of ways. Some of the advantages of to energy efficiency include energy and cost saving, whereby one direct effect of energy efficiency, while you're using fewer energy resources to carry out the same activity, you are saving energy. At the same time, lower energy consumption, meaning reduction in the cost of that energy. Another advantage is we better our environment, meaning energy efficiency reduces greenhouse gas emission. When we responsibly use energy, we consume fewer resources, which contributes to reducing emission and our carbon footprint. The last one is that there is improvement in supply. Energy efficiency allows us to optimize the use of natural resources and create a local economy, thereby promoting responsible consumption of energy.
As demand for and access to electricity in Kenya increases, policymakers need to ensure that appropriate measures are introduced to limit impacts on overall affordability.
Kenya has the National Assembly and the Senate. The two houses make policies. Their overall objective when it comes to matters energy policy is to ensure that there is affordable, competitive, sustainable and reliable supply of energy at the least cost in order to achieve the national or country's development needs while protecting and conserving the environment for intergenerational benefits. That is the generation to come.
Managing this balance effectively will require measures to boost energy efficiency in buildings, support access to efficient appliances and cooking solutions, and ensure adequate power system investment in actions to electricity system losses. For instance, over 80% of the Kenyan population still relies on traditional biomass fuels for cooking, highlighting the role of clean cooking solutions in improving energy access and living standards. Traditional cooking methods using biomass can lead to significant health issues as a result of air pollution, are a contributor to deforestation and enhance food stress that affects women and girls. Liquefied petroleum gas is a leading solution in urban areas. However, increasing prices for it in Kenya have impacted affordability, increasing the risk of people switching back to traditional fuels. Kenya remains committed to improving energy efficiency and reducing pollution caused by household thermal cooking applications. And that marks the end of our first episode. Join us on our next episode on major projects on transition minerals. Damaris Lenantare reporting for Fereiti FM, Lemayian, Kenya.